Hey there! So today's the day. It's finally time to put some paint on the guitar. The first step before we can paint any piece of wood, obviously, we have to sand it, right? And sanding is this process any luthier will tell you is probably their most favorite part. In this case here for the Salt Bally Electric it's not that bad because I could start with the sanding machine first to get a bunch of the work done. But after that I still have to go in by hand with a small piece of sandpaper, sanding block, and do all the finishing touches. So this one here, the body is sanded in order so we can continue. I also put in these little inserts here. And the next step, before we can apply the first coat, which will be basically a primer coat, we have to mask off some areas which I don't want to get any paint on, put a little handle on. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do now. I feel like I haven't talked about this yet, so let's address it. The finishing, I want to try a process I haven't actually ever tried before, so this will be the first time for me, at least on a guitar. I'm attempting to do a nitrocellulose finish. This is, of course, all you guitar nerds will know this. This is the thing is, the stuff is pretty toxic, so it's time for some serious protection equipment. The first thing I want to put on there is just a sanding primer. This will mostly be sanded off later anyways. This is to seal any sorts of small pores and tiny defects that might be in the wood, and just to give me a base where I can really sand to a good finish. And this is just applied with a brush. Later on I plan on doing the final passes with the actual color with a spray can. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead. First pass. put this on really thick. Oh, you can't anyways. You can hear me anyways. The sanding sealer has dried. I will just scuff sand it a little bit because it has raised the grain a little bit here. I'm gonna go over with a fine mesh sanding pad here, just by hand. So if you know a little bit about painting guitars and you're wondering why my whole process is quite different from the usual process for making a nice gloss finish, yeah, the reason is I have something pretty unusual in mind that I'm gonna try next. I think it's gonna be cool. The idea is the wire brush removes the soft wood, like the light colored parts, and it will actually leave the harder parts standing proud, and after the lacquer you will see a really nice texture of the wood grain here. So I'm just taking it slow and see how it reacts. I really need to hold it like to raking light to actually see what I'm doing here, but it looks pretty nice. And I think once we have a paint on it, the grain will really pop out. Just as the body, I also sanded the neck. For this one I'm going to use a different painting technique. And the first step will be to raise the grain after sanding. For that I will use a water-based sanding primer, which is a lot less toxic. Okay, so let's apply this. The pore filling compound we applied last time has dried now. You probably won't really see it on camera, but actually the grain has arisen a little bit and the whole thing feels kind of rough. And this is anticipated, of course, we want that. And now we'll sand this away and check the fretboard again and make sure it's perfectly flat and even. And then we apply the final finishing coat here. Yeah, almost perfect. I will just hit it a tiny bit more with a leveling beam up here, just to be sure. For the neck, I think I said before, I'm not using the nitrocellulose as spray can paint I did for the body, but instead my own little mixture of a poly-based wipe-on compound that's applied basically with a piece of towel folded up in many thin layers. The first layer is actually a little bit heavier just to get into the wood and to fill it up a little bit, and it's also the one that makes the most difference when you apply it. So just get something on the rack here. This little piece of aluminum I had prepared here is going to be the cover for the truss rod access channel. It will sit on a headstock. And I want to get my little logo on here. So I have a little paper cutout of the logo. It will look like this. But I won't just simply stick this on here, no. I have something else in mind. And for that I have to stick it on here first of all. And after that we're going to etch it. Okay, so let's prepare this. First of all, I want to clean it though. Just use some ethanol. Just clean off any oils and debris that might be on the surface. Doesn't hurt to clean the work mat. Now I'm going to position the logo on there. About here should be nice. Just making sure that this is sealed up really well in the tape. Completely enclosed. And now we'll get back to the paper logo. I will position it on here. And I also glue it down on the work mat here so it doesn't move. And now I'm going to cut out the paper logo I can see through the tape. That's the idea. There's outline visible. So now we can get rid of this top layer of tape here. And take a look at the lines I scored here. There we go. As you can see, there is like the Heidemann H aluminum is visible in there, and the rest is covered up in this acid-resistant tape. And now I'm going to use some hydrochloric acid and etch it. And I think I'm going to do this outside because the fumes are really nasty. Yeah, let's go outside. We don't need too much, we just need to cover up the aluminum here, just a little bit, just like that. Now I just have to keep it covered, or maybe go a little bit more. And you can see the reaction starting. Time's up, and now I'm going to wash it off. Right now it has this pretty nasty, like dark gray oxidization color or whatever that is. But we'll hit it with some little bit of polishing maybe. Just quickly like that. There's a little bit more polishing to do, but you can already get a sense for the result. You have this pretty cool three-dimensional effect going on here. You get the idea. The first coat of paint on the neck had a chance to dry. I'm going to just use a fine piece of sandpaper for very soft intermediate sanding here before we go for the next coat. So let's see, just lightly going over it. On these very first coats I can actually go a little bit heavier here because the wood is like sucking up so much. But the coats will get lighter and lighter. I will put at least 10 coats on here with like a little bit of intermediate sanding. And the point is I want a very thin finish, not like a thick film. And I will slowly build it up to a nice like little bit of shine, like a semi-gloss, not super high gloss. It will feel almost like an oiled finish, like you're really touching like natural aspect of the wood. Basically like an oiled finish, but a little bit more durable. That's the point here.